Welcome, everyone, to It Tastes Different Gaming Podcast, the podcast with 4 different flavors coming from 4 different gamers. I'm your host, Nick Irwin, and I want to welcome my co-hosts, Shane Eisterhold, Patrick Smith, and Russell Rowe. Hey, Patrick, where can they find us?
Well, the first place you should check out is our website at ittastes.different.com. This is the place where you can subscribe to all of our streams and connect to all of our social media sites. You can also find us on Facebook at It Tastes Different. We're also on Instagram at It Tastes Different PC. And then last but not least is Twitter, where you can find us at It Tastes Diff.
For dessert, we overstuff the cannolis with collectibles and side quests. So here we're talking about collectibles in games and side quests in games, and how we think about those being in games, and where some may be a detriment and some are a positive thing. So, Shane, I'm going to send it over to you, and what is your thought about collectibles and side quests in games?
I think there's a place for them, and I think there's a time for them, and most games put them in to fill people's time, and it's most of the time it's not that good of a thing. It really isn't. Like we said when we reviewed Ghost of Tsushima, that game knew how to do collectibles. It knew how to do side quests. That game did almost everything right, almost perfect. And then you have games like Crackdown. Crackdown, you had to find all the orbs. Orbs build your powers up. Blah blah blah. So, fighting crap was fine with that. But then you have games like our review of Mafia. All the little stuff in there, it was just a distraction that really had no purpose. It really had no fun to it. Side quests weren't anything to put two thoughts into. Collectible magazines, like even the Playboys, even if you're a pervert, there was no reason to go find those things. A collectible in a game or a side quest in a game has to have enough meaning and enjoyment to it to warrant those things. But most of the time, I don't feel games do that, or they're crap. Ghost of Tsushima is a great example of it. Games like Mafia or even, Grand Theft Auto, a lot of side missions on those get really repetitive and really stale. But, there's a time and place for a collectible hunt and a, side mission hunt. Most games don't need them, and they put them in anyways. That's my opinion. But what do you think, Pat?
I'm going to probably preface this when we're talking collectibles to some extent. We're not talking I'm talking about how am I going to word this? When I say collectible as like a measuring metric, I'm talking about the useless collectibles in games. Because you could talk about, Mario and Sonic. In those games, you were collecting rings and coins, but those had a purpose in the game. They served a necessary function in the game. But like when you think of, let's take Doom, for example, the little mini Doom guys in the Doom game, or the dead ghosts in Destiny. Those are pretty worthless. They're just collectibles. They're there for no reason than to be time wasters or to create additional hunts for trophies or achievements and stuff like that. So that drives me a little bit nuts. Sometimes they can be creative. As Shane just pointed out, we just got done reviewing Mafia 2 Definitive Edition. The collectibles in those games were Playboy centerfolds from the era. So those kind of were interesting, and they kind of fit in with the game. You would find those. I don't know if you'd find them strewn around as much as you would in that game back in the day, because I don't know I've never ran down the street and just seen a dirty magazine laying in the street or anything like that. So, just depends on what part of town you're from,
street,
right? Or how often you're running down that street. So I often find that collectibles in games are just time sinks and waste for additional trophies. I am somewhat of a completionist, so it drives me nuts when you get into a game that has like 30 collectibles or 60 collectibles, and I'm just like, I get to the point to where it's overburdened and I just give up on it. When I played Mafia 2 originally, and then the definitive edition we just talked about, I didn't collect all of the Playboys because I was like, are you kidding me? There's 30 of them? I'm not wasting my time. If I run into one, cool, but I'm not actively seeking these out because it's not worth my time. So a lot of games do this, and it just drives me nuts because it keeps you from keeps you basically from progressing, get to a completionist. It gives you this one last little bit of jaunt in their game, so they can say, oh, the game, if you want to be a completionist, is 100 hours, but they really only have 20 hours of story or something, you know? And it's like, if your collectibles and side crap takes more time than the main story, that's a problem. It's been around for a long time what the collectibles thing is. I don't know what the first game to have collectibles is, but I remember playing back like Legend of Zelda, like Ocarina of Time. They had the hunting down the golden skull things, the skull spiders.
Yeah, I remember that too. Those games like that, though, I don't know. To me, those felt a little more of the game, not just something they threw down in the game.
I guess. I mean, I just find anytime that you're trying to expand your allotted game time, so it seems like you have more available in your game. And in my opinion, open world games are the worst offenders of this, because they'll just screw crap in their game just to say, go find these 100 collectibles. And then, you spend 10 hours getting these 100 collectibles, so then they're going to say, well, our game was 20 hours long. Now we're going to say it's 30 hours long if you're a completionist, or 40, or 50 or 60 because we have all these completionist items. So I'm usually not a fan of them just because they artificially inflate the game time. So, that's kind of my thoughts. Russ, what do you think, man?
Well, I think it's twofold. Number one, we take side quests first. And I think I know you well enough to know, like side quests are one thing. Like if we have side quests, as Shane said, like ghosts or something, or like let's take Dragon Age, for example. If we have side quests that kind of progress our story along with our companions, I think we as a whole enjoy that. Even though, Star Wars: The Old Republic isn't one of our best or favorite MMOs, progressing those side stories, doing some of those side quests with our companions was kind of enjoyable because it increased the storyline within that. So that's one fold. I think side quests, if it's a side quest where you're running out in the middle of somewhere and there's a strange farmer who's like, hey, I need you to go pick up, 15 pumpkins out of my patch for me. No, farmer, you go do that yourself. I don't need to do that. I have to go slay this dragon. You go on and go pick your pumpkins. I think that's where that kind of, for us as gamers, kind of get a little frustrating. Then we take the collectible side of it. And I agree with what you guys are saying. When it comes to collectibles that are seemingly redundant or just pointless, I'm thinking a little bit about Tell Me Why. I thought it was interesting to get the little carved guys, the little carved collectibles. I thought that was kind of cool, actually. So that's kind of one area that I talk about. And then you have like the booklets and the pamphlets and the magazines and all that. And then there's those, and those are annoying because the only real way to maybe even go back and get them sometimes is you have to replay a mission if you even know that there's a magazine there or something. So that's really frustrating. And then we take it one step further in the collectibles within other games, MMOs and stuff like that. And I sometimes like to do those. I sometimes like to go out there and grind for a couple hours to get reputation that gets me an artifact or gets me a collectible that I could put into my housing in some of the old MMOs and things like that. Like there's some things I do enjoy doing within that, but definitely the side quests that have nothing to do with like your companions or your storyline, those do get a little tedious. And then the collectibles that seem very pointless, I agree with that those thoughts there. So I'm going to throw it over to Nick, and I'm sure people have comments about what I said, but Nick, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll take it in the same regard that you did with going with side quests first. I think Ghost of Tsushima did side quests, and other games have too, but since that's recent, they did side quests very well. In Ghost of Tsushima, the side quests were short, they were quick to find, they usually were in the area that you were, and they didn't take you too far off the beaten path. They kept you pretty close to where you initially started the mission for most of them, for a majority of them. And, they were all pretty short side quests. And I think they did add to the story or to the, what was going on in the story or with the Tsushima citizens and things that were going on there with the Mongolians and everything coming in and taking over the land. So, they went with the whole theme of everything. One thing I hate I don't mind side quests. I hate side quests that, one, are too long. Ones that have those multi-pronged side quests where you'll finish a side quest and the side quest goes on to a side quest, which then goes on to another side quest and so on and so forth. And the side quest is almost as long as the main story is.
Yo, dog, I heard you like side quests, so I put side quests in your side quest.
Exactly. I hate that. Like, if we're going to do a side quest, that's fine, but let's make it short and sweet, right? Because it is a side quest. We don't need a side quest within a side quest within a side quest. We don't need any of that. Just, and like Tsushima did, make it to where the side quest doesn't take you that far off the beaten path. I also hate side quests that take you halfway across the map, where you have to then traverse all the way back once you're done with it. It's like, take me like a few steps forward and then we do this little thing, and that's it. Or like Russ said, I hate side quests that are like, pick 10 pumpkins, like he said. It's like, no, I don't, why am I, exactly what Russ said. You're the farmer, you go pick your pumpkins. Why do I need to do it? So, you gotta have some meaning in your side quests, and you gotta make your side quests, I think, personally, short and sweet. Just make them quick little jaunts, just to kind of add a little bit of context or a little value to what's going on, or just have, a little thing that you can kind of do off the beaten path, off the main quest line, that it's just a little quest that you can do that doesn't take too long. And that's the kind of side quests I like. I don't like the ones that extend forever. As far as collectibles go, I don't mind collectibles in a game, and I do like collecting in game. I'm like most of you guys. I'm pretty much a completionist. I like to try to get everything. Now, that doesn't say that I'll go through and replay a game just to get all those things. So I'm not a completionist in that standard, but my first playthrough, I'm going to try to find all these things. So I don't know if that's a completionist or just something different, but I'm going to try to find all these collectibles as I'm going through. One thing I don't like about collectibles is games that, most games they'll hide their collectibles and that's fine. But I hate games that hide them so much that they're almost impossible to find, or they're just in this like weird spot in the map that you wouldn't even think of looking at. I don't mind them being off the beaten path, and that's fine, but don't make them so hidden that it's almost impossible to find them, where you have to almost look at a guide to figure out where the heck this collectible's at. And you find it's like under a box in the lower right-hand corner of this room that you don't go into for no reason. Right?
Yeah, you got to walk in this room and you got to angle your camera just right to see that thing in the corner,
Right, that little sparkle, and you're like, oh, there it is. Yeah, no, forget that. If you're going to make collectibles or things that are hidden like that, that's fine, but make them kind of obvious as well, right? Don't make them so hidden that, like I said, you got to go online and look at a guide just to figure out where the heck it's at. That doesn't makes it frustrating at that point, because you're trying to find this collectible and you find out it's in some awkward place. So, like Shane said at the beginning, you got to do it right. If you do it right, these things can be fun and they can add value to your game. But if you do them wrong, then
you're taken away from the game.
Right, you're taken away from it. And these are things that people are just not, unless you're the diehard completionist, you're not going to go out and do these things. Like I said, I feel like I'm a completionist because I like to complete everything, but I don't know. I guess you would call it something different in that case, because, if I don't get it through the first playthrough, unless the game is really fun, if it's like Grand Theft Auto, right? Grand Theft Auto, not every Grand Theft Auto, but a lot of the Grand Theft Autos, after I've completed the story, I've gone out and done a lot of the side missions, the ambulance, the fire truck, and, whatever it is whatever side quest they come up with, I'll go out and do those things. Like Shane said, especially in Grand Theft Auto, they are really repetitive, but I'll go out and collect, 100 cocaine bags like in Vice City or something, or the money bundles in, I don't know, was it 3 or whatever, where you had to go and get all the bundles of money.
Yeah, Vice City had that as well, if I remember right.
Okay. So, in Vice City, I did everything. I did every single thing. But a lot of those things you have to usually use guides because there's like 100 bags of money or whatever that you got to find, and that would take forever just to run around the city. But Grand Theft Auto in its own right is fun to just go around the city anyway. So, going around the city to collect these things is still fun in this regard. Like Pat said with Legend of Zelda, with the golden skulls, yeah, that was, I think, I don't remember, it was Ocarina of Time. I think I collected all the skulls, like, 99 of them. But yeah, that was, and if it was any other game, I probably wouldn't have done that. I love and still love Ocarina of Time. It's one of my favorite Zelda games. So for me, it wasn't that bad to go back and get them all. But it's still something that I wouldn't do twice, right? I did it the first time. I ain't going to do it again. Yeah, you just got to do it right. That's the main thing.
Yeah. I will say this. There's certain games that, while everybody was talking, I was like, you know what, let me run through my melon here. What games do I remember doing, not for the achievements, but doing those, side quests and the collectibles, that were fun. Ghost of Tsushima, we just talked about, easily the definite way to do it in an open world game. Definitely. Batman, the first one, fantastic job by Rocksteady, because the backtracking was very limited in that game just for the story alone, but the collectibles were there, but you still had to work to find them. But you didn't have to spend an hour, go online, call your buddy, get a lifeline. None of that crap. If you tried, you could find these things. And Resident Evil 5 did a fantastic job with the collectibles, the blue emblems throughout the game. And Resident Evil 4, same way, the little, emblems hanging from the trees and stuff. Those are games that did it great, but they're very limited, in my opinion, on games that were able to do those collectible things. And as far as side quests, really, it's Grand Theft Auto did a good job overall, but they did become repetitive. Ghost of Tsushima, like you were saying, Nick, they were perfect. Good amount of time. You didn't have to spend a day to get there, and that was great. The new Spider-Man, the older Spider-Man for PS4, was another good game as far as the quests and stuff. They were good side quests. They did get a little repetitive, but overall they did a good job. But it's really hit and miss on those, and it's more miss, in my opinion. And I don't need all of that. I mean, if you want to give me collectible comics, if I'm playing Batman or Spider-Man, great. I don't want to have to sit and waste all my time just to find those things, because they're not that important unless they actually do something for the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't. So side quests are not usually as bad as collectibles are for me. I mean, for the most part, I don't mind the side quests as long as, like Russ said, they're not go collect 10 pumpkins or go do this meaningless task of picking up this stuff. Like some games do side quests really well, to where they feel like they're just part of the game. And in my opinion, like Nick said, Ghost of Tsushima did it great because they felt like they were part of the game. It didn't feel like it was a side quest. It felt like, hey, I'm in this town and they need my help. I'm going to go do this stuff for them.
Yeah, it was very natural.
Yeah. But some of them, MMOs are notorious about the garbage side quests because they got to have filler to get you their level. They serve a purpose to some extent. Side quests in a game serve a purpose. They're either to further help you progress your level before you leave the area you're in, or something like that. But in my opinion, collectibles, and when I talk collectibles, I'm talking about useless collectibles. They don't do anything for the game besides make you do something to collect for a completionist type thing. I'm not talking about collectibles like Mario 64 that had you collecting power stars, because that was a game mechanic that unlocked harder levels or more levels, so you were collecting coins and power stars and that type of stuff. I'm talking useless collectibles like, in the G.I. Joe game where they're having you collect issues of the comic and stuff like that. I just don't find a use for them. I will ask a question though, because it's kind of popped into my head as we were sitting here talking. What do you think drives developers to put so many collectibles in their game? I have an idea and an opinion, but I wanted to get everybody else's opinion first. How about Shane? What is your opinion on why do you think developers put so many useless collectibles? When I'm talking about collectibles that I don't like, I'm just going to specify useless collectibles so everybody knows I'm not talking about story progression collectibles. I'm talking about useless ones. So Shane, why do you think developers put so many useless collectibles in games?
They run out of ideals. They have a story that has a beginning, middle, and an end, but their middle's weak. So they throw in side stuff to distract you from that lack of story. It's a filler. It's all it is. It's a way to stretch something out that really has no meat. When we talked about Final Fantasy VII, the remake, excuse me, that drove me nuts. The game was 90% filler. I hate filler. I want substance. I want story. I want what I'm, working for. I don't want to do all that stuff. The reason they put all that magazines and knickknacks and stuff like that is just because they've ran out of ideals. In my opinion, they run out of ideals.
An artificial expansion of the game, if you will.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So
like throwing on an extra piece of cheese on a really cheese sandwich.
All right. We got to throw that extra cheese so you get more cheese flavor. You get rid of that nasty salad dressing flavor. Whatever. All right.
There you go.
So Nick, what do you think? Why do you think they throw in useless collectibles in game? Why do developers throw a lot of them? Because I feel like it's just getting more and more prevalent every generation of gaming.
First of all, I'll disagree with Shane on Final Fantasy VII Remake, but
yeah, I would disagree with that too. I loved Final Fantasy VII Remake.
Yeah, I did too.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I love the game, but there was too much filler. Nope. It was all filler.
There was no filler in there. But
ladies and gentlemen, I'm right.
Shane's thinking of the feeling he was doing when he was trying to fill up Cloud.
He was thinking of the honeybee.
That
I think it's mainly because of replay value. They want to add more replay value to the game, and so they throw in these collectibles just for that. Just for added replay value, a reason for you as a player to return to them. Because you'll notice a lot of the games that have these collectibles are games that most people would probably not return to. After one playthrough, they probably wouldn't go back to them. Open world games are a little different in that context. Things like Grand Theft Auto or Ocarina of Time, I think people go back to, and so I think again that's just another activity to give users another reason to replay the game. And you think of Mafia 2 that we just did, we beat the game, me and Patrick did, and I don't have any reason to go back to playing it. Now, could going back and getting all the wanted posters and the Playboy magazines be a reason to replay it? Sure, it could be. Not for me, but it might be for somebody. Somebody might replay through Mafia 2 again, looking with the sole purpose of looking for these wanted posters and magazines, right? And so I just think that these collectibles, not the ones that, like you said, Patrick, that contribute to the game, but the ones that are just there for the purpose of being there. I think they're just there for replay value, just to give the game some extra life when it didn't, when really the game is mostly a one and done playthrough.
That's interesting. Yeah, that's an interesting theory on that. Yeah, that makes sense because there's almost, unless you're specifically running through, like you said, a walkthrough or a guide earlier, you're not going to see all those collectibles, or you're not going to know the most efficient way to get to them because, I like you, I'm a completionist, and a completionist means I like to get as much done in the game as I can and try to get all the trophies or achievements in the game. And I do try to do that, but at some point it becomes to the point where I don't want to do that. So that's interesting because I'm not going to go back to Mafia 2 to get all the Playboy magazines and the wanted posters. It's just not in me for that. And games do that. And, I will say Ghost of Tsushima did it too. There was a point to where if I were to have to collect all of the items in Ghost of Tsushima for the completionist trophy, I wouldn't have done it because I stopped. You don't have to get all of the scrolls, and you don't have to get all of something else to get the completionist. I got just enough to get the completionist because I got burnt on finding all the scrolls and kind of crap like that. It's just at the point too much. You don't have to. So games now have where there's like, a completionist isn't 100% of everything in the game to get like the platinum trophy in PlayStation or the completionist achievement in Xbox. you don't have to get every collectible. You have to get a percentage usually of the collectibles. So Russ, Nick and Shane have kind of given their ideas. Why do you think they throw so many useless collectibles in games nowadays?
I think it's a very delicate marketing ploy. And by that, I mean, so if you have game A and the actual game time play is, let's say if you started it from the moment you played it and finished it in 10 hours, but then they put those things in there and it takes, I don't know, an extra 5 to 10 hours to do all the collectibles portion of it. Well, they can market the game as saying, oh, we have 20 to 40 hours of gameplay, depending on how long you really want to take finding these collectibles, hint, hint. I mean, I think that's what the reasoning is within it. I mean, I'm sure there's probably other reasons or whatever, but I think that's something that they think about whenever they make these games. They're like, oh crap, man, this game's it took us 10 hours to finish. Let's put it in a bunch of this other crap so we can get another 10 hours out of it and we can tell them it's 20 hours of gameplay. Of course, we're talking at a bigger scale on most games, but I think that's some of it.
So that's kind of interesting, yeah.
What Nick was saying, though, bothers me about it being a replayability. And yeah, it can be a replayability, but if the game is good enough, it will give you reason to replay. I mean, not because you're filling it with little things to go back and find. I mean, a good game, a good story game, doesn't need all of that for me to go replay it. Now, I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean, yeah, there is reasons. I replayed Batman just to finish up a few things I knew I missed, or GTA. I need to go back and get those last bit on Tsushima.
Right,
but
and that's why I think Nick is right, though, because Nick has a good thing as well, because I do believe that's why they do it, because when I beat Ghost of Tsushima originally, I hadn't gotten all of the collectibles and stuff. I went and I was like, okay, I can't find these, so you get abilities to where the wind will lead you to these things, and I did that for probably a good solid hour, and I got to the point where I was just completely wrecked and was like, I don't want to do this. So I pulled up a walkthrough and did them because I was like, this is annoying and I'm done doing this. And it doesn't make me want to come back and replay it. So I want to, how about this? I want to pitch this to you guys. So by all means, this didn't start the collectibles, but I think it helped explode the reason why there's so many collectibles. I think the people to blame for collectibles is Microsoft, Sony, and Valve. And I'm going to blame that because gamer score.
I will disagree, because the collectibles have been around way before gamer scores and trophies.
Not way before. I'm sorry, but not way before.
Oh, yeah. All right. Metal Gear Solid. The entire series before it even hit PS3, and that's when all the trophy stuff came out. Kojima had all sorts of those things in there. Snake Eater. There was all sorts of posters you could find of naked girls and stuff, or bikini girls or whatever, and little doodads like that. I mean, it's been around a lot longer. I mean, like you guys were talking about Zelda, they had all that before.
But that was not prevalent. You're not seeing like magazines and junk like that. When did Metal Gear Solid, the game that you were just talking about, come out? And do you realize when Gamerscore was inceptualized?
Metal Gear Solid, the original? It was like in 88.
Okay. So, but
the 360 started the Gamerscore.
For Microsoft, yeah.
Yeah, 360 is the one who started the whole thing, which for good or bad, I don't even know how I feel about Gamerscores. I do like it when I get it. But, I try not to put too much thought into it. But the 360 launched the Gamerscore realm. Collectible stuff has been, around way before that.
I don't think it's as prevalent as it is now.
Now, you may be right there. It may be pushed more. And that is because of Gamerscore. Like, 360, wasn't it mandatory? You had to have 1,000? Is that right?
Yeah, I think that's what it is. Yeah, you have to have, your game has to have 1,000 gamer score in it or something like that at a minimum. And that's why you have these games that come out that are just, they take like 30 minutes to an hour to play, and you can get 1,000 gamer score in like no time flat.
Oh yeah, because when 360 released, Kong. That was one of the games I bought with it. Underrated. I have to say I actually enjoyed the game. But yeah, I mean, I whipped out in like 4 hours, 1,000 gamer score, 6 hours, something like that. Yeah, I mean, I don't disagree. It's not more prevalent, but I mean, it's been around a long time. But the trophy and the gamer score systems have really pushed garbage into the games.
Well, because I kind of think so. The game that kind of pushed it to me when collectibles became like forefront in games was Assassin's Creed. Those games threw all kinds of garbage in their game to say collectibles. There was the flags and just junk like that, and the feathers and just stuff like that. But I will also put out that Assassin's Creed was one of the first games to start doing this, and it just coincides with the launch of Gamerscore by Microsoft on 360.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And then Valve came out with theirs, and then PlayStation came out with theirs. And I will honestly say I think PlayStation's is probably the least purveyor in the system, just because their trophies don't seem to be as based upon useless stuff as I should say. But I mean, I don't know about you guys, but maybe it's just because I play more Xbox. But I see
I
see Gamerscore being more. Most people tout their gamer scores on Xbox and Steam than they do on PlayStation. I don't think it's as big a deal on PlayStation as it is on Xbox and
it's not. I definitely agree because, I mean, if you asked me the last trophy I earned, couldn't tell you. If you ask me how many trophies I've earned, I couldn't tell you. I don't put two thoughts into the trophy system of PlayStation. It's something about it I just don't give two craps about. I just don't. It's not that it's bad or it's good. It's just there's nothing about it that entices me.
I don't think the majority of people do pay attention. Like the majority. I'm not saying that there's not, 15, 20% of people out there that are like, I got to have every trophy from every game, how do you kill that which has no life type of people, that do that.
You need to separate that because we're talking, that's PlayStation as trophies. Are you saying that, because I would argue that Microsoft, it's the other way around. I care about my gamer score.
I absolutely agree.
You care about your gamer score?
Yeah, because Nick
do you
is
care
always
about your gamer
beating us.
score?
I do.
Russ, you don't care about yours, though, do you?
I don't. I really don't.
But Russ is also the lowest out of all four of us.
Well, even because I don't care. I mean, like, I could go and get on Game Pass, and, I mean, there's been a couple of games that we've bought that would take 3 or 4 hours to get a couple of thousand points pretty quickly. I could do that, but the games bore me to death within 30 seconds, and I'm like, I'm not. I mean, I may be, out of all four of us, I'm probably the most finicky gamer. Like, I have to be, the game has to get me quick or I'm done with it. I mean, I'm worse than, we make fun of Patrick sometimes because he's like, I'm done. But yet he'll trudge through and he'll finish something or he'll get something done. Whereas me, if I'm saying I'm done, I'm done. There's little to nothing that can get me to finish that. But anyway, I'm digressing a little bit.
But yeah, I was just gonna say because I mean I closely follow my Xbox gamer score, and I also not as close, but I do follow my Steam gamer score, but I don't follow my PlayStation gamer score. I can't tell you how many trophies I got. I can't tell you how many platinums I got because I don't care enough about it. But I can tell you roughly where my Xbox gamer score is, and I will tell you that I track it monthly because I always look and see where I rank amongst my friends.
Yeah,
I check that thing monthly.
I think a big part of that, though, for us is what do we play on the PlayStation? Exclusives.
Exclusive, yeah.
And we only get, 3? Well, I mean, this was a good year for them, but
4, yeah.
You get
3
to 4 a year. Now, everything else is on Microsoft. So when we play a game on the PlayStation, it's a first-party game. 99% of the time, it's going to be solid. We all know that. So I don't put near the thought into stuff like that when I'm playing a game that's got me pulled in. Now, when we're playing Xbox, we're running around as a group 90% of the time. When we play, we're playing together. We're playing, some sort of co-op or multiplayer together. It's Xbox is more of a competitive system. It really is. It's almost built and bred on being a competitive hardware. Not with each other, not with other consoles. I mean, as multiplayer games. Competing with your friends, competing, against random strangers. That's what the Xbox was developed on. I mean, look at when it originally launched. First game I played online was Ghost Recon. And I had a freaking blast with it, killing people, making friends, but killing them still. I think that's the difference. And, we're so competitive on the system that even the gamer score is a competitive architect of it.
I think what really makes the difference, one that, like you said, Shane, that we do play Xbox One, we do PlayStation, we're mainly playing exclusives on there. But for PlayStation, it's the same thing. I don't know how many trophies I have, and I really don't care. I also don't care on Steam. The only one I care about is on Xbox. I think mainly for Steam and for PlayStation and for Xbox with their achievements is Xbox puts them front and center, right? Whenever you get one, it pops up down the center and it does this little animation and everything, and it tells you what the achievement was for. And, they have a whole, in the quick menu, they have a whole menu. You can track your achievements and all that stuff in Xbox. PlayStation, it just pops up in the upper right-hand corner real quick, and it doesn't tell you what the trophy's for. They do have a center for trophies, but it's just kind of in the background, like, oh yeah, here's the trophies, and
I couldn't tell you where the trophies are in the PlayStation.
I mean,
I wanted to go look at them.
I mean, they do kind of the same thing. When the trophy pops up, you can push the PlayStation button, and it'll take you to the trophy.
Right, but on the Xbox, it'll tell you in the trophy icon that pops up at the bottom what exactly the trophy is for, what you did to get that.
Yeah, but it hadn't always been that way, though. It used to be you would have the pseudo name.
Right, on the 360, it just had the name. Right, now on the one, they changed it where it actually tells you the name and how many points it's worth and what you did to unlock that. And that's one thing I like about Xbox too, and I wish PlayStation did that, because sometimes I've played games where I have noticed the trophy pop up. I'm like, oh, well, what did I do to get that? And I don't want to go back to the menu, and we're getting sidetracked with trophies and achievements, but I think the menu and PlayStation is horrible.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're, in my opinion, this is my opinion, I think they're tied together. There's so many prevalence of this because game developers are basically trying to, I think it's a combination, but I do think that the gamer score has contributed to this because Microsoft is saying you have to have so many points in your game, and they're like, okay, we'll throw in these collectibles to make a point or whatever. But, and then it's artificial inflation of time spent in the game and replayability. I think it's a big combination of all of that. But I think Gamerscore just helps to propagate that more, because if I look at a game and I'm like, okay, I am 2 achievements away from this, or hey, I'm really close to that diamond level achievement in Xbox, the 50 point or the 100 point achievement, or the rare achievements, I need to go do this. And I'm like, okay, I don't always do that. And I will say, out of the 4 of us, I have a lower gamer score than Shane and Nick. But
I think I'm sitting at 114,000, and Nick's probably at 2 billion.
I never played the 360. I had a 360, but I didn't hardly play it. I was into console gaming at the time. I was more into PC gaming at the time. So I really was not into console. I didn't get back into console gaming really heavily until I met Nick and Shane, and we were well into the Xbox One time frame. So, and I got really back into the Xbox gaming because I had friends to play with. The PC gaming, I had lots of stuff I could do on the PC by myself, didn't care. And then, I had Rust, and we played a lot of MMOs. So I have a gamer score of 65,000. That's it. It's a little over 65,000. But I think, Nick, you're in the 200s, aren't you?
No, I'm 148,000.
So you and Shane are pretty close, but yeah.
Yeah.
But I check monthly. I'm like, okay, how close am I to Nick? How close am I to Shane? How close am I to Russ? And if I'm like, by the end, if it's like you have 1 week left, and I'm like, I'm 50 points low, I'm going to play a little crappy game so I can get an extra 100 points to be above somebody, I'll do that sometimes, and a lot of times it's collect these collectibles or do this in this amount of time or something. So I honestly think it is probably a combination thing, but I think that, if we take into 2007 as the basically culmination of the gamer score era, what did we didn't have, I mean, I will admit, there was a few games in between there that did this, like all the Lego games used to do it, back before all that came out. But I mean, really, you had some stuff in Halo, and stuff like that. But really, think about games before 2007. There probably isn't a whole lot that had a lot of useless collectibles in it. I mean, the game that you were mentioning, Shane, what is it, Kojima games? I don't know what he was thinking back in there and why he put all his stuff in there, but a lot of it used to be collectibles were Easter eggs. They were kind of something that was, in the game that the developers wanted you to see or collect or something. AAA titles and open world games have just basically thrown a smattering of everything at you. Like, I don't know. I mean, let's just take a game that we recently played, like Ghost of Tsushima. What were the collectibles? There were some scrolls, some cricket cages, and I can't remember. They were such a minor point in the game that I don't even remember all of them. I just remember getting frustrated trying to find them all. Oh, they were the cosmetic pieces, like the sword stuck in the ground to get the news. Yeah. I was just like, come on.
Plus, you had the sword mini games too.
Yeah, but those progressed the game though.
Yeah, I thought all of that was so well done in Ghost of Tsushima. The locations for the little stuff, for the little collectible things, I felt that they did those right. They were out of the way, but not killing your time trying to go find something.
Well, a lot of them weren't like obviously if you wanted to collect crickets, you had to go to cemeteries. So you look on the map for cemeteries, go find those. But you wanted to find all the hats, the headpieces and the swords and all that kind of stuff. They were not always on the beaten path, and you had to I'd use a guide for some of them because, like I said, I got to the point to where I got the armor to where the wind would lead me to whatever I was tracking. But it got to the point where I got frustrated spending like 5 to 10 minutes just trying to find one of these items to get my completionist stuff going on, that I only found the required amount to get the platinum trophy. And then I just was like, okay, I'm done. And now I will probably never go back and play the Ghost of Tsushima story again, unless they come out with DLC. That's not in me. I'm not that type of gamer. Now I play the multiplayer all the time with you guys. I enjoy that, but I have no reason to go back and replay the game itself unless they come out with DLC or something.
Boy, I don't know how to feel about that because I
love the game.
Really, just take the amazing game itself out of the way and just the side stuff like that. I really thought that was almost perfect. I really do. And I'm not a big side quest guy. I'm not a big collectible guy. I don't have to do all that stuff, but I thought they did a fantastic job, and I enjoyed finding those things and spending that little extra time. You know what? While I'm here, I'm going to run over to this cemetery, see if I find a cricket or, I bet there's a fox over here kind of thing.
But I would almost put money on this to some extent to basically say, I guarantee you that we can get a count of games very easily that had collectibles prior to 2007 that were useless collectibles. I guarantee you could probably easily find a list somewhere, and it doesn't compare to the explosion of collectibles after 2007.
Oh, no. I don't think anybody here could disagree with that. I mean, Russ and Nick will definitely, probably attest to there has been, like you said, an explosion of BS that you can find now. Well, yeah. Like I was saying about the Kojima stuff, that was Kojima being Kojima, just being that weird little man he is, and which is awesome. But now when you have to, when you want to spend half your time looking for crap that takes 60 hours to do, that's too much.
Because like Grand Theft Auto, we talked about that one. That one had you collecting freaking pigeons. Come on, guys.
Yeah, that's
collecting
true.
Pigeons. But then, when we were talking about this, I was just kind of Googling some games to see what was on there. Their latest open world, the Red Dead Redemption one, had no collectibles in it. Not a single collectible.
Well, that's because the game was 2,000 hours long and wasn't that good.
Well, a lot of the articles that I was just kind of perusing through was basically said, I guess the Grand Theft Auto got huge backlash for the amount of garbage collectibles in their game, so they basically were like, we're not gonna do that. And I guess when they came out with the Lost and the Damned, they basically had including more pigeons and seagulls and more birds. They included seagulls, and they were like, "Are you kidding me? I'm gonna go." I'm pretty sure people were probably like, "I'm gonna find a seagull, and I'm gonna go up to Rockstar Studios, and I'm gonna force feed this seagull to somebody." You know, I mean, because it's just excessive. Why have to collect 100 or this or 200 pigeons? Come on, collect 200 pigeons? That seems ridiculous.
And that's the stuff that's just that's laziness. It's all it is. It's laziness.
That's the whole point. And to some extent, like I said, if it wasn't for the gamer score attached to some of these achievements and gamer score, I wouldn't even give them a second glance. Like the only way that I would go back to Mafia 2 to get the collectibles is if I'm achievement hunting. So I'm like, I need to get 50 points this week for something, or I need to go because the Microsoft rewards thing helps prevail some of that. You get 50 points a day just by getting an achievement in a game. So
one single achievement,
yeah, one single achievement, you get 50 points. And 50 points is equivalent to 50 cents? Yeah, 100 points per dollar, I think is what it roughly. So 100 or 1,000? Yeah, it's like 9,000
for $10.
Right. So it's like a little, so it's like $700 or $800. 7 or 800 points get you $1. So, it's not the equivalency of $1 or anything like that, but still 50 points. All you gotta do is get an achievement in a game, so I mean, and then usually the weekly has you just do 50 Bing searches and get 3 achievements in a game and then look at a game that they're featuring this week. So, I mean, I think the achievements and stuff like that help drive some of this other marketing stuff that they get. Like you were saying, Nick was saying replayability. Russ and Shane were talking about expandability of the time frame of the game, artificial expansion of the playable time in the game, and now we're monetizing this with gamer score and achievements and points in Microsoft and stuff like that. I mean, Microsoft is doing a great job of making gamer score front and center because I care about it, Nick cares about it, Shane cares about it, and Russ doesn't. So 1 out of the 4 of us actually doesn't really track or care about their gamer score. But I mean, that's probably pretty much average. Most of my Xbox friends care about and know about their gamer score. They're like, oh yeah, I know what my gamer score is. And you can see how competitive it is. I don't have a whole lot of people that I don't know on my Xbox game list. I think I have 17 people on there and 15 of them I know. And they're all active on their gamer score every month. And I'll see when it gets closer to the end of the month, I'll see some people jump up towards the top because they're looking at it. They're trying to beat their friends list or get above their people on their friends list. So, I mean, I know I do it. I track that, and I'm like, okay, how many days we got left? Where's Nick at? Where's Shane at? I'm like, all right, can I catch him? Or am I ahead? I think what was a couple weeks ago, they had the Microsoft where you get 10,000 gamer score in a week. I ran that. I got 10,000 gamer score in 3 days.
Yeah, see, I wished I had that kind of time. Let me ask you this. Let me pose a question out there. Start with Russ. Start with Nick. Give Russ time to think. What was the last game that you played that you wanted to go find a collectible? All the collectibles, one collectible, or that one random mission that you heard about or about. You just had to go do. What was that last one you did?
It was probably, if I'm thinking about the last few games that I've played for a while, probably not since Grand Theft Auto 5, really. I think I did everything in Grand Theft Auto 5 and found everything that was all the collectibles and stuff. But some of the newer games, I mean, it kind of goes to Tsushima too, but I stopped at the scrolls and stuff. I didn't want to find all those even for the trophies. I found all the cosmetic items and stuff, but the extra stuff like the scrolls and the artifacts and the flags, I just didn't want to go track all those down. So probably the game that I collected everything, I went through and collected everything that was in it was probably Grand Theft Auto 5. If I were to think of a game where I actually followed through and did everything in it, as far as collectibles and stuff go.
What about you, Pat? I mean, was there last thing that you was like, man, I got to go do this?
So I'm gonna actually cheat and I'm gonna take two.
Go for it.
So the most recent game is Ghost of Tsushima, and only reason was because I wanted that completionist trophy, that platinum trophy, just because I was so close. By the time I got done with the game, I collected a large majority of the items. The only thing I was missing was collect so many crickets, collect so many scrolls, and collect so many flags, because I had found most of the cosmetic items, and I only needed to find like one or two. So I put another couple hours into that game to gather all those, just because I was so close to the platinum trophy, and we were reviewing that one. I'm like, I'm going to review it all, so I'm going to spend a couple. And it was because I wanted to play a little bit more too. And then the one that I really that I went back to try to get, and I did not. I will say I did not get a completionist or all the achievements in this, was the Star Wars, the Fallen Jedi Order one. I love that game. I played the crap out of it, and when it ended, I wanted to play more. And so the only thing that I don't replay the stories because I'm like, I already know what's going to happen. So I went back and I loaded it up and I'm like, okay, I got to find all the plant specimens. I got to find all the color crystals. I got to find all this and that. And it was just because I wanted more of the game that was just not there. I will say that the achievement hunting in that game was unfulfilling because I got frustrated after it. And maybe I don't think I did. I'll have to look back at that one to see if I did, but I don't think I got every achievement in there. I tried and got to the point where I was just getting frustrated with a few of the mechanics, but I wanted more of that game, and my only way to get more of that game was to go achievement hunting in it to find all the achievements, and that one. So, and then I guess I'm going to go for a third. The game that I found myself going to more of it was and this is rare, is why I guess, was Horizon Zero Dawn. I couldn't get enough of that one, and I wanted to play, and so I achievement hunted on that one just because and it's all then, and that's really the reason why I do achievement hunting and collectibles is just because I want more of the game, and I felt the game ended too early for me.
Yeah, I can see that. I like that game, but I wasn't that into it like you are. What about you, Russ? What was that? What was that one thing you just had to go do or find or complete?
Oh, good Lord. I don't know. I really don't. I'm like listening to you guys talk, and I'm like, what was the last time that I went back? I mean, I still haven't gone back on Ghost, but yet I've started the game, the new Game Plus system on Ghost. It's not really completion. I mean, like the last game that I was really kind of nuts about when it came to things like that was like reputations for WoW. I mean, I would sit there and like go through guides and see how to get certain reputations. Of course, it died off after, expansion 27. I guess early on that game. So I really don't, I'm really not a great example when it comes to this kind of thing. I enjoy a game. If I don't get everything done, it's no big deal to me. It's like whatever. I just like the game. But like I will get, like, there will be times where I get focused in, like, for example, with Ghost. I like it so much that I want every one of my characters that I have within the Legends portion of it, I want them all at max level for their traits. So I've been trying to play some of that on the side as well for each character, or each class, I should say. So I mean, but that's not what you guys are talking about. You guys are talking about what I don't have one. Sorry, guys. I hate to disappoint this team, but I do want to correct something. Patrick said at one point in time, he said that he gets on and he wants to make sure that he's ahead of Russell. Of Russ. Everybody's always ahead of Russ. So it doesn't really matter about that for me anyway. I don't know. Maybe what I'm doing, maybe I'm setting every single one of you guys up, and I'm going to take 2 weeks off, and I'm going to, when I get into my new place, I'm going to just sit there for 2 weeks to play games, and y'all are going to wake up one morning, I'm going to be like 150K on gamer score.
You know,
if you can get 150K in a week, I will give you all the props you want if you can get 150K, because it's taken Nick and Shane like since 2007 to get as high as they have. So they put in 13 years, and that's as high as they've gotten.
Yeah.
Let's see. 2
Brandon,
weeks.
I've been married the whole time. I could have higher, but I've been married.
Only 2 weeks, Russ. That's all you got.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, who knows? You never know. You never know. Even if I make it up, even if I made up, let's see, if you did 10K in 4
You just got to
days,
get to what I've got. It's 65,000 gamer score. You
So-
pass me up. There you go.
if I pass you up, I'll never pass you up again because you will take the rest of your life to make sure that your gamer score is higher than mine.
There'll be a news article about a local, how they always have the news articles in China about the guy who spent like a week in the net cafe and died for playing too many games. That'll be me. You'll hear guy got 100,000 K gamer score in 14 days and killed over.
Yep. Found dead in his own ball sweat.
Right? Because he didn't shower or anything for 2 weeks.
In actuality, that article would read, friend of gamer who received 100K in 14 weeks or in 14 days dies due to spending the next 30 days getting 400,000 K.
Right. Got to prove his friend wrong. He's got to outdo his buddy.
Pretty much.
So, yeah. I mean, like I said, I do care about my gamer score, and I actively track my gamer score. So
I don't think about it too often.
Oh, you don't give me that.
But I only think about it when I turn on the Xbox and I see Nick is on, and then because Nick went AFK for like 2 years due to a really bad decision, and so I'm finally ahead of the little asshat, and he's like, "Hey, I'm back. There goes my lead."
All right, we're all trying to catch Nick. I'm not even close.
Yeah, I mean, he blew past me.
I'm trying to get to
super
150,000. Almost there.
God, I still got another 30-something to go.
I'm still just trying to get to 100, so yeah. But yeah, I mean, that stuff is important to me. But that's where I think that's just my opinion. I think that it is probably a conglomeration of a lot of things. It's developers just trying to fill the void of their lack of playtime, the gamer score, trying to drive that in there, and then the replayability. Because I didn't even think about the replayability of how, because a lot of games do use that as a selling point. Our game has a lot of, it's high replayability or not. And if they could show that people are replaying their game because they don't care why they're replaying them, they're just, hey, we got high replayability in this game. Let's keep doing what we're doing. Not to mention you got to catch 200 pigeons.
God dang pigeons!
Got to collect them all.
Yep, got to collect them all, and then when the DLC comes out, you got to collect seagulls this time.
Oh God! Then the droppings.
Right.
It's the evolution.
Right. Next, we're gonna go hunt guano. Got to go to the back.
Oh, but no, I want to see games do it right, like Tsushima, Batman, Resident Evil 5, Resident Evil 4. I want to see games, if they're gonna do it, I want to see them do it in that way. That adds to the game. It doesn't distract from the game.
Well, and I guess that's a fine line because at some point I feel that throwing in useless items into a game that have no effect on the gameplay, because the artifacts and the scrolls in Ghost of Tsushima have some story behind it, but you know what? I didn't read a single one of them because I'm like, whatever. But, I mean, at some point also, I mean, we'll take Mafia 2 for an example. I'm not going to lie. I looked at the magazine every time I picked it up. I'm like, oh, okay, that's kind of cool. But I didn't care less. I could care less if that was in the game or not.
You got to quit beating that poor game. It beat itself enough.
I know. But it's just fresh in my mind. But I mean, so it's kind of cool when they do something. So like Ghost of Tsushima did collectibles, like where you had to find the swords. So you go find a sword and you get a new sheath skin for your sword. Or you find a hat on a sword and you get the new headpiece. That type of stuff, okay. It's not useless. It has a game mechanic to it. But the scrolls and the flags, I guess the flags to some extent had a game mechanic tied to them. You got saddles for your horse. And don't get me started on the horse, but, that had a game mechanic. But the scrolls had no game mechanics. I guess to some extent the crickets had a game mechanic because you got songs from for your flute after you got so many of them. But I mean, they're still kind of worthless to some point. They have some game mechanic tied to them, but in my opinion, they're worthless. They just added expansibility to the game and trophies to track. So, I mean, I'm not a big fan of them. I am more open to side quests as long as they serve a purpose. So, like, I can go do a side quest to go kill a bunch of bandits to help the town, but I don't want to go do a side quest to collect 10 pumpkins for the farmer. Get out and do your own job. Most of the time, though, the farmer's like, I broke my leg. I need somebody to call or to, go out and do the harvest for me. And I'm like, oh my God, okay, whatever. I can get more behind that than I can collectibles in a game. I can overlook, I don't know why, it's just my opinion. I can overlook overemphasis or overabundance of side quests before I can overlook a bunch of useless collectibles in a game.
Yeah, I'll definitely agree with that. I want something that adds to. It doesn't break the game if you don't do it, but it adds to the game if you do it. Not
Right.
something that's just. It's something that has nothing to do with what you should be doing.
Yep.
And there's not too many that do it right.
Cool. I mean, that's just where I stand. I don't. Nick, you got anything else you want to add about like gamer score, all that kind of stuff?
No, I mean, just, with the, like we've been saying, with the collectibles and side quests, I don't mind either one of them personally. It's just, as long as you do it right, that's the main thing. Like Pat was saying, I'd rather them add collectibles and side quests that integrate into the main story, into the theme of the game. Don't just, like Mafia 2, again, with the magazines, the magazines were from that time era, but they didn't really tie in anywhere other than just being something to pick up and look at.
Right.
So
get the whole series and sell it for $100,000. That would work.
Right. Yeah. In Mafia 3, because
Yeah, you can just collect them all, and I guess if you are so inclined, you could just oogle over your Playboy collection in Mafia 2.
Oh, he could do that on his computer.
Right, exactly. Don't need to look at that.
Don't need it. So, yeah, I mean, just do it correctly. Just don't add them because you want to add them for replayability or just to extend that time frame. You add them because they have some sort of context into the game or the story or something like that. And in the case of Mafia 2, they're added just because they're from that time period, which, okay, fine, but they don't have anything other to do with the game other than just being something to pick up.
Yep, a useless collectible.
Right.
Plus, I don't want to pick up somebody's used Playboy. Come on, that's nasty.
Right.
Especially if it's sitting on the park bench.
Well, especially like, all the locations you find them in, like a dirty hallway and stuff.
Right, and they're just laying on the ground. Hey, is this anybody's Playboy? I'm just going to take this. I'll bring it back later.
That's nasty as finding it in your dad's freaking sock drawer.
Probably some in the bathroom.
I was just surprised that you never found one in Joe's apartment as much as he's got going on in that game.
Yeah, I know.
No.
Well, I think there is one in his apartment.
It's one in the bathroom, I think, later on in the game.
Yeah.
Or something. And you just steal Joe's Playboy from his bathroom.
I tried to steal it, but it kept tearing the pages when I pulled it off the floor.
But yeah, so yeah, I agree with all that. Yeah. What about you, Russ?
I really have nothing else to add. I think we all started off with mildly different opinions, but kind of ended up in the same boat as like for side quests, if they're pertinent to the quest line, if it's pertinent to the storyline, we're all about it. When it comes to collectibles, I think we're a little diverse in that sense, depending on the game and what we're looking at. It's just neat to hear everybody's opinion with it. So I don't have anything else to add other than, I guess I need to get working on my gamer score.
Cool. I mean, I don't got anything else to add. I think we've already beat the gamer scores. This one got kind of off topic a little bit because we were talking about collectibles and side quests, and we really didn't talk a whole lot about side quests, but we beat collectibles and gamer score up a little bit.
Yeah, they coincide with each other, really. You were saying, the gamer score blew it up, and now, unfortunately, it's all over the damn place.
Yep. We ought to run a contest between the four of us 1 month or something. Whoever has the highest gamer score at the end of the month gets something.
Well, whoever gets the most gamer score, because Nick's already destroyed us, and
No, we're talking about 1 month. We're talking about a 1 month because Microsoft tracks that. That says, hey, between this day and this date, this was your gamer score for the month.
Yeah, but we can't compete with Nick. I mean, he plays in his sleep.
We'll all take time off work. That's the only way we can do it.
Yeah, but then we'll have to put Nick on double time.
Well, Nick can't take off work. That's the Nick handicap. We all get to take off work, but Nick can't. He has to work that week.
And play with one hand.
And he's still higher than us.
What'd you do? I played the Mega Man collection and just got every achievement.
Twice.
Yeah.
And that would be hard. Those achievements in that game were difficult.
So cool. Yeah, I don't have anything additional to add. I mean, it's in my opinion, it's a worthless add to some games, but so sometimes they work. So it's a hard, it's a fine line to walk.
Yeah, let's just hope they get it down a little bit better than what they have in a lot of games.
Yep. All right. I think that kind of wraps up this episode. Yep. We appreciate everybody listening and hope to catch you on the next episode.
With new systems.
Yes.